All right, welcome back, everyone, for another deep dive. You know him, you love him.
You know me.
He's the expert, I'm not. And today we're going to be taking a deep dive into the rather interesting reactions to Justin Trudeau stepping down as Canada's Prime Minister. We've got a couple of sources for you today. We've got a quote directly from Biden, and we've got a very interesting post from Donald Trump.
Looking forward to it.
So get ready for a really fascinating look into what this all means.
Yeah.
This is more than just a goodbye.
Yeah.
This is a look into Trudeau's legacy and a little bit of what it might mean
Absolutely.
for the future of the relationship between Canada and the U.S.
For sure, yeah. It'll be fascinating to break down these reactions, I think, and see what they tell us about the political landscape.
Absolutely.
On both sides of the border.
So let's just jump right into it. Let's start with Biden. So Biden's statement, he doesn't really hold back on the praise at all. He calls Trudeau a friend. He says that the U.S. has no closer ally than Canada. And then he says something pretty big. He says that the world is better off because of him. Yeah, strong words, huge statement. Do you agree? What do you think? Well, I think it's interesting. Biden chose to highlight some very specific areas of collaboration between the two leaders, right? So he mentioned the pandemic response, obviously a huge global event, climate change, the opioid crisis, support for Ukraine, economic policies. So this wasn't just a generic, farewell statement. It was really like kind of emphasizing, I think, the strength of their working relationship.
It was really emphasizing those specific points of working together.
Collaboration,
So, and it makes me think, right, about the Paris Agreement.
For sure.
For example, Trudeau was a vocal advocate for climate action on the world stage. Absolutely. And I think, Canada's commitment under Trudeau really put pressure on other nations to step up their climate goals. I mean, it wasn't just talk.
Right.
They implemented carbon pricing policies, invested in renewable energy. So I think from Biden's perspective, this is a loss in the fight against climate change.
Okay. All right. Well, that makes sense to me. Okay. But then we got this post from Trump, who suggested that Canada should become the 51st state.
I mean, classic Trump, right? Throwing out a bombastic statement that is going to grab those headlines.
It definitely grabs our attention.
But if you look closer, it does actually align, I think, with a lot of his America First rhetoric and past actions, right?
Yeah.
Remember the trade disputes with Canada, his focus on border security, his skepticism generally of multilateral agreements.
Yeah.
So this proposal, as outlandish as it may seem on the surface, does reflect, I think, a lot of those same...
It's not coming out of nowhere.
Yeah, it's not coming out of nowhere.
Yeah. It's like he's just using this as an opportunity.
Exactly. Push his own agenda.
Yeah, push his own agenda, exactly.
And it also highlights this underlying tension, I think, in the U.S. Canada relationship.
Okay.
Which is this perception, at least amongst some in the U.S., that Canada is benefiting disproportionately, let's say, from the relationship. And Trump's 51st state comment plays right into that.
Totally. Okay, so two very different reactions.
Yeah.
One is really about, collaboration and shared goals. And then the other is much more about,
transactional,
a transactional.
A little bit of rivalry,
And almost, like rivalry.
A little competitive.
Yeah.
So, and that brings us to, I think, the bigger question here, which is, what happens now?
What happens now? Yeah.
Right. Biden's statement, I think, signals a desire for continuity in the relationship, but it also raises the stakes for whoever the next Canadian PM is going to be.
For sure, right.
Maintaining that level of cooperation that we saw under Trudeau. It's not going to be easy.
Especially with everything going on in the world.
Absolutely. I mean, economic uncertainties, political shifts, all over the place.
Yeah.
And then on the U.S. side, regardless of who's in the White House, the underlying issues that Trump brought up, these trade imbalances, the security concerns, those aren't going away.
They're not going away. So, listener, here's what I want you to think about. If Biden is right, and Trudeau did make the world a better place, what kind of leader does Canada need to continue that progress?
Yeah.
And how are they going to navigate a relationship with the U.S. that is deeply collaborative, but also...
Can be intensely competitive as well.
Yeah. Let us know what you think in the comments below. And until next time.
See you then.